Hey, college coaches, this is Coach Anthony Williams, founder and CEO of Connected Athletics. We are a new startup company based here in Austin, Texas. We're focused on using technology to help student athletes successfully transition from high school to college and then into a career based on either their major or what they want to do once football is over, whenever that is. Right now, with this podcast, we're focused on helping student athletes connect with other student athletes during the recruiting process. But most importantly, we want these student athletes to connect with college coaches and let them learn more about them personally, academically, and whether on a recruiting standpoint through the podcast. So today we've got a very special young man with us that I've been following on Twitter. I've watched his highlight video. He's a talented lineman. Evan Mailloux is a class of 21 offensive lineman from Cornerstone Christian. Got a lot of friends in the coaching staff down there. He's 6'1", 270 pounds. He's got a great GPA, 4.17, and you see his Twitter name there. I'll share it with you guys later on. Evan, how you doing this evening?
Good. How are you?
I'm excited to hear about your story, man. I've watched the video. I've heard a lot of good things from coaches down there, but I now want to put a face and a story with the name. So let's just jump right in and have these college coaches get to know you better. Evan, I mean, the thing that sticks out is your GPA. I mean, 4.17 is killer. Tell us about the importance that you put on your academics.
It's something that's been instilled in me as a young kid. Once I first got my phone, that was the number one things my parents would hang over my head to get good grades. So it was either A's or no phone. So that was something. And before that, it was just something I felt accomplished to turn in work and to get that 100 or that sticker back in the elementary school and stuff like that. So academics has been one thing for me. And I just want to be able to provide for my family and retire my current family when I get older. And I know having a good education will start with having good grades and then going to a good college and then getting a good job. So those starts right now.
No, it sounds like it's a great response, and I love it. It sounds like you weren't a student that just turned on a switch in middle school. You've been this way, putting the importance of your academics since elementary, it sounds like, correct?
Yes, sir.
No, that's awesome. Hey, tell us, what are some of your favorite class subjects that drive that GPA?
I know biology. I had like a 98 overall in AP biology last year, and it was just because I liked it. It just came to me naturally. I got a 4 on the AP exam. It was just something that came to me. I made sure to set aside time and study for that class every single night. And I think biology is one of the things that I want to major in when I go to college.
Okay. And then do you have a certain career in mind once the game is over, whenever that is, what you want to do with that biology degree?
I also I like making things. So I was thinking biomechanical engineer was one that I
Okay.
saw. And I know money isn't what's supposed to drive you, but I want to make sure, like I said, to be able to retire my parents right now for what they've done for me and provide for my family. So definitely something that makes good money.
Well, I'll tell you, as I tell all the kids that I'm around at camps across the country, find out what you're passionate about, which it sounds like you're passionate about biology. Once you're passionate about it and you become an expert in it, the money will chase you instead of you chasing the money. So keep that in mind as you go forward.
Yes,
But I love that response. Hey, tell us, are there any teachers or trainers or tutors or coaches at Cornerstone that have helped you stay on the straight and narrow path of your GPA? Who's helped you out?
So for me, my story with Cornerstone is kind of interesting. So I transferred there, the last 9 weeks of my junior year, and this was
Okay.
when COVID hit. So I didn't meet any of my teachers last year, any of my classmates. It was kind of interesting, but I wouldn't say there was one in particular. I would make sure, because we had mandatory meetings, and I would show up to all of those, ask questions, and all the teachers were very helpful to get through that process.
Well, let's go back then. So your previous high school, were there any teachers that made learning fun that you want to shout out for helping you keep your GPA high?
Um, it was Mr. Fields. He was my business marketing teacher, and it wasn't just I didn't feel like I was really at school at his room. We just talked about life. We talked about football. He was a big Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, so I always gave him trash about that. We just talked about life, and he also played college football, so he would also give me tips and tricks on and just like information on how to make it to the next level and stuff like that. So I really felt like he was more than just a teacher. He was more of like a guidance person in my life.
Awesome. Hey, one thing college coaches want to understand about prospects of recruiting is their learning style. Tell these coaches what type of learning style. Are you more of a verbal, visual, or hands-on?
Um, I would say I'm a mixture of verbal. I need it spoken to me, but I also need it demonstrated. once or twice. And I also need to be able to ask questions because I'm not a student that's afraid to raise my hand, and I also feel like that's also helped me with my GPA. I'm not afraid to go in and get tutoring help, and not afraid to sound stupid with a dumb question or something like that. I'm always ready to raise my hand and just ask questions when I don't understand something.
Old school question here, Evan. What's your body language like in class? Are you a sit in front of the class and active participating? Or are you in the back, kind of just chilling and taking in the content?
Definitely up in the front. Especially now, I've noticed that my eyesight is kind of getting kind of bad, so I think I might need to go get glasses. But I'm definitely always making sure that I'm in the front to be able to see.
Okay, I like it. And then follow-up question that coaches will ask is, does your work ethic in the classroom meet your work ethic on the field during practice or in games?
Yes, sir. Always up front, always asking questions if I don't understand a play, a formation, how to block this. I'm very attentive, and I'm a very competitive person. I like to think so. That's why I like to compete in the classroom. I also like to compete on the practice field and game field.
Great response. That's what I like to hear. Hey, let's switch to get to know you more personally, Evan. Tell us, what are some of your hobbies and interests when you're not working out and you're not playing football? What do you like to do with your time?
One thing that me and my friends used to do was mountain biking. We'd go on
Okay.
these like 26-mile, like just bike, like there's a McAllister Park over here, and we would just bike on the trails. Also, my friend Mikey, he has a hot tub. We would just chill in the hot tub and just talk and chill out. And then at his house, they'd had like family game night. We play like Monopoly and stuff like that. Just again, very just competitive, fun stuff.
Okay, good stuff. And then tell us, obviously a lot of recruiting is taking place in social media apps. Tell us a little bit about your social media presence. What apps do you use, and what kind of messaging and brand are you trying to put out there about yourself?
So I have Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter. I'm kind of new to the game. I'm an only child, so my parents are kind of strict. So I just got Twitter and Instagram maybe a year ago, so I'm still kind of learning the ins and outs. But I like in both of my bios and Instagram and Twitter, I make sure that Christ follower is the number one point in my profile, like in my bio, because that's the most important aspect of my life.
Absolutely.
So I make sure that that's number one. And again, I like to spread positivity. Like if I see a random kid on Twitter get an offer and I don't know him, I'll still hit the like button because I know how it feels to get that opportunity. So I just like to spread positivity and congratulate people on, even if I don't know you.
That's good. I like that a lot. Hey, little things about you more personally. What's your favorite food?
Definitely steak. I have to say
Okay.
steak.
Are you a mid-rare or mid-well guy? How do you like your steaks cooked?
Um, I was a medium well, but my friend literally the other weekend made me a medium rare steak, and it was really good.
It's pretty
So
good, yeah.
yeah, I think in between whatever's in front of me, I'll eat it.
Okay. And then tell us, what is your favorite football movie?
Football movie. It would either have to be The Longest Yard or The Blind Side. Blind Side
Okay.
because it was an offensive line movie, and then The Longest Yard because it was fun. It was just a funny movie.
Okay. And then lastly, what about your music taste? Who's your favorite music artist?
That's one thing. I'm not the kid you'll find with earbuds in class or walking around the hallways or like have to have ear like listening to music while I'm reading a book. Like I'm just not a very like I'll listen to music, but it'll just be a random playlist on Spotify just before games to hype me up. But I'm not like
Mhm.
a type of live off of music like I'm not really into music and stuff like that.
Okay, that's fine. I can respect that. Hey, tell us one person outside of sports that you look up to and why.
It'd probably be my pastor at my church,
Okay.
Dr. Ednon. It's just the things that I wouldn't say we as a church are special, but the things that we do as a church are special. Like I'll never forget. We don't pass offering plates at our church, but one time he passed. I guess it was like a KFC chicken bucket kind of, and we passed that around. And everyone put money, and then he passed it back around. He was like, "If you have a bill that needs to be paid or a ticket that needs to be paid off, reach in the bucket and take how much money you need out of the bucket to pay for that." It's just like they like to practice radical generosity, and just following him, I'm in FCA, or I was in FCA at my old school, and he would come to and speak to us and stuff like that, and just being able to talk to him and connect to his family more, he's definitely a big inspiration.
I tell you what, I love that, and kudos to him. First of all, I love FCA, big member of that also. But that's the first story. I've been involved in church. Both my grandfathers were pastors. I've never heard passing around the offering bucket and then passing back around saying, hey, if you need a bill, that is awesome. kudos
Yeah.
to your pastor on that. That is, I've never heard that before. I think I'm trying that at my church. But thank you for sharing that. Hey, I call this my dream scenario question. Let's say you have 4 great years in college and you find yourself in New York City at the NFL draft. Who is sitting at your table with you waiting for the commissioner to call your name?
It would definitely be my parents, and then you said I have 4 people.
No, it doesn't matter. We'll get enough chairs. How
Um,
many people you want there?
it would be my parents, and then it would definitely be my two grandparents and uncle because they're really into football down there, and then my uncle and aunt down there, and then the other side of my family is not really into football, so I probably wouldn't bring them. But and then I'd bring my pastor because he's into football too. So
I
that's
like it.
probably who I
Okay.
might do.
Evan, tell us what do you want your life to look like, both personally and professionally, once football is over, whenever that is?
Um, for me, one big thing for me is leaving a legacy. I want to be able to leave a legacy in whatever I do. And for me, one way I live my life is no matter how small the task, I always want to do right, and I don't want to cut corners. So if I was a custodian at a high school, I'd want everyone to know me as my legacy as the best custodian that's ever walked through that high school and stuff like that. I just want to be able to. I want to be able to live my life, and I don't want football to define me. I want the things that I do after that to define me.
Love it. That's a great response. Hey, tell us also what's important about you personally is how you communicate with friends, family, and in this case, coaches. Do you prefer talking on the phone? Do you like text messages? Do you like being on Zoom calls? What's the best way to communicate with Evan?
Well, as of right before COVID, it would definitely be a family, like a barbecue, get together, have some little fun games, and talk in person because I like the
Mm-hmm.
interaction. I'm a very social person.
Okay.
But right now, it'd probably be Zoom if it doesn't like have any technical difficulties and stuff like that. Just to be because
Yeah.
I like being able to see the face and stuff like that. But I'm always open. I always make sure to get back to people.
Yeah, I see that. That's very strong in your presence and who you are. Hey, let's switch over to recruiting here as we finish up. Tell these coaches, what kind of teammate are you? How would you describe yourself as a teammate?
Again, I don't like cutting corners no matter how easy or simple the task is. So it's always like the simplest one is touching the line on the sprints. Like I always like to say go past it because if a coach has to question if you touched it or not, he's definitely gonna make us run extra sprints. And I'm a lineman, so I don't like running sprints. So I'm definitely gonna make sure that my teammates are doing the little things right in and out of the classroom because again the classroom is a big part of my life. And even like I said, I like being a leader. And I know school's not for everybody, but I want to make sure that my teammates are doing the best in the classroom and pushing themselves to definitely do the best in the classroom.
Awesome. I love it. Hey, speaking as a football player, as an offensive lineman, what do you consider your strengths and what are some of the things you're working on technique-wise you get into your senior season?
It would definitely a strength would definitely be my actual strength and my attitude. Like I don't consider it a good block just getting in the way. It's definitely the good block and doing your job is landing on top of the person because that's what you're taught to do. So pancaking for me that's where I find a strength, and then probably for my weaknesses would definitely be my footwork. I need to be able to. My footwork needs a little bit of improvement.
Okay, that's fair. You mentioned your strength. I was going to ask you a question here about are you a weight room guy? Sounds like you are. You mentioned how strong you are as a strength. Tell us some numbers. What do you squat? What do you bench? What do you clean?
So we haven't been able to get into the weight room like we should been and stuff like that. But I know back last April at my old school, I squatted 505 and
Wow.
got second on the list, and then again around that same time I bench pressed 325. So these were all I'd like to get into the weight room. And
Yeah.
when this whole pandemic started, we definitely because we were really strict, so we invested in a weight set. So I probably have about 200, like I have 225 pound plates. So I have like 225 I can put on the bar and stuff like that. It's just I just want to be able to I like lifting. Even if it wasn't for football, I would still be lifting. It's for me, it's
Hmm.
just a mental clear and stuff like that, just to get away and find something to do.
Okay. Hey, every coach wants to know about the relationship with their player. And obviously, as a player, you want to have a great relationship with your coach. Tell us a little bit about your relationship with your past coaching staff, your position coach, and the head coach.
It was definitely good. So my last head coach, Ron Ritterman, he ended up transferring schools too, but he was my next door neighbor. So
Oh wow.
I literally come home from practice with him at the same time, and we'd open our car doors and say goodbye and stuff like that. So that was good. And then I wouldn't say we're neighbors, but he's in the neighborhood across my old line coach. So we both had really good relationships, and the relationships with at Cornerstone, they were very accepting, and the relationships with my coaches over there are really good too.
Okay, good stuff. Hey, tell me, it sounds like a simple question, but some guys answer it differently. Do you love to practice? Because when you get to college, there's no option. You better have a passion for the game. Do you love to practice to get better and get ready for games?
Yes, sir. I like the grind because I know people want to just show up on Friday night and think that they're gonna go and get the job done. But then that's one thing I want going back to my teammates. It's especially at the online position, they always want to assume that they know what the defensive lineman is gonna do or what the linebacker is gonna do. I'm like, you can't do that. Like you have to practice and know the scenarios, know the situations that can happen, and always be ready.
Absolutely, I like it. Tell me also, are you a big film study guy? When you study defensive linemen in the front seven on defense, are you a big film guy?
Yes, sir. I always like to find one or two moves that they like to do, and then practice on something that I can do to defend that. That's one thing and I find it fun just being able to watch myself and watch other people. It's kind of
Mhm.
just I like watching that.
Well, you know, they say film doesn't lie, and if anybody has tendencies, the film will tell you. And it is a great for those kids out there who will maybe watch this video. You cannot get around film. Film will make you a better player. It'll make you play faster. It'll make you look stronger because you pick up an opponent tendency. So I love that you're a film study guy. Hey, tell me, is there an offensive lineman at the college or pro level that you pattern your game off of, and who is that?
Um, it would either be probably Trent Williams because of
Okay.
the either Trent Williams. I know he's a tackle, but even I just like the way he plays, and then Zach Martin and Travis Kelsey. Those are two people that I like to watch.
I don't know if you were on Twitter this weekend, but Trent Williams had a block on inside
Yeah.
linebackers where he just leveled the guy. I never saw him coming in. One of the greatest blocks I've ever seen. I mean, yeah, you picked a good role model on that one.
Mhm.
Tell me, another thing about playing football that you know is about overcoming adversity. Tell these coaches about a time in your life, either personally or pertaining to football, where you had to overcome some type of adversity.
It probably would have been when my dad got deployed. Excuse me. Because he's in the military, so he got deployed twice when I was in second and fifth grade, and so that was probably one of the times where me and my mom had to figure out how to, especially at a young age, having to be, I guess, like the man of the house because I'm an only child. That was probably one of the times I had to overcome adversity.
What branch is your father in?
Air Force. Oh, excuse me. The Air Force.
And we have a lot in common. So I'm an Army brat. My dad, 32 years in the Army. So with all that said, I want to say to Mr. Mayotte, when you watch this video, thank you for your service and everything you've done for our country. We appreciate the sacrifice you made, and especially leaving your wife and your son at a great time. But thank you for serving our country. So, but that's great. It's a great example of adversity. I know exactly what you're talking about. I was born on an Army base and moved every 2 years. I mean, military life is tough, but it makes you
Yeah.
tough. That's one thing I can tell you. You're a tough guy. Hey, tell me a little bit about your teammates. Are there other? Tell these coaches about some of your other teammates that should also be recruited that may be getting under recruited. Who do you want to shout out right now?
Um, Man, that this team is like, I mean, stacked. Like at Cornerstone, we have so many people. Even the depth charts, like we have a sophomore receiver right now, Jalen Gardner. I mean, he's gonna have every single offer in the country, no matter what. And then, I mean, there's too many to count. Like we have Lucas Coley, but he's
Yeah,
already committed. We got
right.
um Albert Perez, D line, Caleb
Yep.
Landry, Charles Moore. God, I mean, I'm gonna forget some of them, and some of them I'm
No,
gonna
no.
hate.
I
But
mean, you
I
guys
mean,
have a lot of talent on that team.
there's
Yeah,
just too much talent on that team.
yeah. Here's an interesting question I like to ask students, athletes like yourself. You're a senior now. What advice would you give Evan yourself as a freshman, knowing what you know now after 4 years of high school football?
It would definitely be to savor it, because I remember my sophomore season on varsity. At my old school, we would have like, I guess, like I guess like goodbye speeches. Like it was after the last game that we played, we'd all go into the mat room after the game, and all the seniors would get up and talk, and they're like, "Oh, it flies by next week. Like next week you'll be next year and stuff like that." And you don't really think about it until you're in that situation. It is your senior year like now, so I would definitely make sure to savor the team dinners, the hard losses, the hard wins. Just the memory of football just coming up to where it is. That's what I would tell myself.
Yeah, that's a great piece of information. As we finish up here, Evan, obviously everybody's competitive. Nobody wants to lose, but tell these coaches about the competitive spirit you have as a player.
Again, I know it doesn't just take me to win the game. So again, I like to rally up my teammates. I'm never the one, no matter how low the score is, we're still gonna keep fighting to the very last whistle because I know the people on the other side don't care about what the score is, what your situation is, and it doesn't matter. So being able to rally up my teammates, and no matter what the score is, no matter if we're up by 50, down by 50, we're still gonna play our hardest and making sure everyone knows that.
Okay. Evan, I appreciate the time. Let's finish up here so you can get back to your evening. We talked about the elevator pitch. Tell these coaches in a short amount of time here why they should recruit you and what you're going to bring to the program.
I believe that I should be recruited to play at the next level because, again, I bring the things that you can't teach: the attitude, the leadership, the effort in the classroom, and just and what I'll bring to your program is that the leadership. I'll make sure everyone in the locker room is doing right, in the classroom is doing right, just making sure everybody's in check. And then also being a mentor to the younger people, learning from the older people. I'll just make sure to be all around good teammate and make sure everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Evan, I know it's been a long day of practice and school and everything. I'm looking forward to seeing you out. We'll definitely be down to a game here. You'll see me in the sidelines pretty soon. Be safe. Continue to work hard. And if you need anything, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to me, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, have a great evening.
You too.